Welcome to Akhand Vidyashram, the first unit of impeccable wisdom. Today we are going to talk about autonomic nervous system, which consists of sympathetic nervous system and parasympathetic nervous system. These are absolutely essential for spiritual science research as well as perfect human anatomy physiology. This is one of the most important subjects which I have experienced. This life has changed me from what I was to what I am today. That way, this particular picture you are seeing, or for that matter, this particular picture, if you can see the wonder, I think you understand the universal consciousness completely. Just make a note of what you are seeing in both the pictures in your mind. Before I proceed, I would be happy to see the transformation as we move on to realize what is spiritual science, one and large. Now the come to question, if you are really interested in understanding, learning, understanding, mastering and researching the entire universal science or spiritual science, first thing, please listen to my videos very carefully for the first time and get the whole thing recorded into the temporal region or auditory area for affirmation. Second step, replay the whole video once again and then read the written material as I have understood or I have explained in auditory matter once again. You'll get 1,000 times better. Third step, after having recorded in temporal, auditory area, visual area, occipital, and then understand the whole thing concept with your sensory and motor component to reproduce the same thing in your own way as you understand entire thing. This is the third step. Then entire wisdom is recorded in your entire brain and you will become a walking, talking encyclopedia like the book I have put there. You got to become a book, complete, and that is what is expected of every perfect human being. We are made in the design of the divine nature, the way universe is. Everything is secondary. Only thing which is most important in the entire universe is only a perfect human body with all the things. We are the only one who can understand, concept, and completely recognize and reveal those things of universal consciousness. No one else do it. Entire universe is a fragmentation of it. But manifestation in the greatest form is only human being. We are capable of recognizing, conceiving, and revealing those aspects of every aspect of the universe which no one else can do it. This is also the message which has been given very clearly in Rigved itself. Now I am coming to the prime objective of everyone's life is to be perfectly healthy, wealthy, wise and happy, nothing more than that and nothing less than that. You have to be a complete human being with the impeccable wisdom to the core. Second thing, the reason for our failure is we are ignorant of everything. We are not able to experience a disease-free life. Forget about the perfection. Inertia, tamas, ignorance is the root cause. The first thing to understand anatomy, physiology, biochemistry, psychology of the human body, and in the process, experience everything else in the universe in the light of your being perfect yourself. Now I'm giving you the picture which the world knows about the standard classification of nervous system. In this picture, you can see right at the left side, third middle portion is a sensory component which is indriya, which gives you information from the entire universe outside as well as within that. That information is carried to the peripheral nervous system. That is sensory component, and that goes to the central nervous system's evaluating part, which evaluate what it means. These are three parts which are sensory in component: external objects, information, and to the subject. This is trinity, it's important. Then further go. Fourth is central government takes a decision what to do and what not to do. perfect rationing is given to the peripheral nervous system by and large to be carried. And that motor component is the next stage of fifth component. After motor component is made of two components, somatic or voluntary nervous system and involuntary autonomic nervous system. Voluntary nervous system is connected with skeletal systems and all the things which we decide in the brain which can execute it. The next stage, 6, which is very, very important, is the autonomic nervous system, which is made of the sympathetic system and the parasympathetic system. The sympathetic and parasympathetic are two components, or when these two work together with each other, only then we can be a perfectly healthy, wealthy, wise, and happy. Sympathetic system and paras, they should complement each other. And that is what would make a thing very clear. And sympathetic system is called thoracolumbar because origin fibers from thoracic first segment to the lumbar 2. There are 14 segments of the spinal cord and there are 28 preganglionic nerve fibers, 28, which go to the ganglion and then post-ganglion, they execute the whole thing. This information is given very well. When come to the parasympathetic is two components. Cranial parasympathetic, which has 4 cranial nerves, and then sacral parasympathetic at the bottom. This is the information which is available in all the medical books. But there is much more than that in the nervous system. And my point is, we do not have human beings who have contemplated, seen things in totality and represented the world as such. Now I'm going to bring you a 7th level of nervous system which has not been given its due importance. That you can see in this particular picture, which is designed by me. Right at the bottom, left bottom, is connected with sympathetic and parasympathetic is pacemakers of the heart, uterus, and mindric nervous system, the digestive. These three components which have a local government, they can survive come what may to make us perfect being, make us spiritual being, and make us the perfect to be in homeostasis. Without this particular thing, we cannot be as perfect as we should be. That's it. So that 7th component makes the nervous system complete. Now to show an unexplored system, the 7th nervous system, the pacemaker, the heart muscles, which is cardiac in nature, mindric digestive system, which is smooth muscles, and neuroendocrine parameters, which is again smooth muscles, plus other things. There are neuroendocrine system. These are the things which have a local action potential for self-survival and make things so that we human beings are perfect at every stage. That makes the nervous system complete. Now, the conducting system of the heart has got 10 parts of the conducting system. As you can in this picture, they can be independent of the central nervous system, peripheral nervous system, even autonomic nervous system. They can do very well as such. And that is reason we can take the heart from one place and transplant to other person's heart without any difficulty by keeping that alone in a saline water as such. That is the uniqueness of heart, and it lets you decide. Only this will make everything which is required for all the 100 trillion cells to be carried perfectly without any problem. That's it. Second thing is the mindric nervous system. As you can see are the cells down. This GIT is required for continuous supply of water, nutrients, and all the things for homeostasis. Blood is important, circulation is important, but material is also important. It has to be the form which is given, that is done by digestive system, and that also has been given an independent thing. It functions independently. We can continue to do our work. This will continue to do our work. Digestive system will get it, heart will dissolve it. and take it to every part so that we survive and we can. These are the activities which we don't have to do it. Autonomic nervous system is going to do it. Peripheral seventh system is going to make it even better. Now the third is autonomic control of the uterus. Everything can go. This will take care of the nature inside through endocrine and nervous system functions. And this is an example as also the pacemaker. These are three things which make the human races itself survive. That's it. Now coming to the country, integrated impeccable wisdom I like to show in the light of divinity. The first thing I brought Trinity. Event reflects action, sensory component, 2. Evaluating system, 2. The motor system is 3 components required. And that's it. Now the sensory component brings all the information from the incoming sensory from outside as an inside to the body as a sensation, and I want everyone A to Z to have a perfect sensory system as accurate as possible, no unconscious, subconscious or distracted samadhi at all. So as a result, anything which can dissociate our consciousness, make you unconscious, mahasamadhi otherwise, chahe alcohol, drugs or anything which can reduce your sensory system should never be taken. The most important part of the whole system is the sensory nervous system. If it is perfect, only then we can see the universal consciousness. All the people whose senses are stimulated or depressed are not automatically function, have a problem. As a result, Akhand Yoga, the 10 stages of yoga, will make you perfect. For that, sensations have to be 100% perfect only. You should have 5 normal senses and 5 higher senses. All the 10 senses, you should be very, very accurate, impeccable wisdom. Now comes the question, brain. Brain can also function very well provided you learn all the 64 arts and sciences which are associated with the brain. And different things are associated with different, as you can see in the picture. And you got to be master of all the 64 arts and sciences to evaluate things perfectly. And that is the Trinity, the second part I'm talking about. Third, motor and involuntary system. Now we are coming to the autonomic nervous system. We are talking of involuntary, not motor. Motor is with the skeleton system, which we take conscious effort. But involuntary is smooth muscles and cardiac muscles. Involuntary, autonomic, they do the work to make most appropriate respect. And that's the picture which is there was designed by me for my PhD work between 93 and 2001. This was something 8 years I experienced the divinity within me through autonomic nervous system. That is what I'm trying to explain now. It has changed me and changed the whole thing that I can go the world and this is supposed to be a real human being. Now there comes to the question of autonomic nervous system central control. It has a central called homeostasis. As you can see in this picture, sensory information is giving your blood pressure gone up or reduced or heart rate and otherwise. That information is picked up from the sensory, taken to the brain, and brain says now you have to reduce it. And that action is taken by autonomic nervous system. In blood pressure, it is vagus nerve, and if it is low, it is sympathetic system. We will go into detail as we move. As a result, homeostasis can be maintained, and that's the first effect of sensory nervous system. This can automatically go on provided you are a perfect human being, has not even single thing which is negative. And I again and again say, perfect human being is a pure vegetarian, does not drink, does not smoke, does not take drugs, does not take anything which can minimize this. His whole living is based on perfect vegetarian diet selected, which are required to take care of all the 100 senses and make your human body as a perfect chemistry laboratory. You can produce amrit within the body and you can be healthy, wealthy, wise and happy thereafter. That's the first part. Now there comes this Body has the capacity to even see outside worlds. It is not the eyes alone. Aura can also, this was my own experience way back in 1992. And that has changed me completely. I also showed it to the world that your skin has the same origin as eyes and nervous system from ectoderm. We are ectomorphs. We can see it. Even skin can see it, can be used as such. That was first thing. That's again, all said and done, involuntary nervous system gives you that thing because your sensitivity is like that. For that matter, autonomic nervous system is spread throughout. Afferents come from every part of the body, from top to the bottom. All the skin, everything inside, outside, other parts are sensitive, and that's what I'm trying to explain. Then all the vital organ functions are also controlled by autonomic nervous system only. Once your autonomic nervous system is perfect, sensory, central, and peripheral, you'll have no problem with respect, provided you take care of good diet, have good discipline, and good water, and everything understood. That is the reason I talk about it. Spiritual science is the science which both spiritual and scientific world put together only then. As a result, Bhakti Yoga is most important. Then Karma Yoga, then Gyan Yoga, then Vigyan Yoga, then Akhand Yoga. Then only you are complete being. Then that is what human beings are designed to be. And the person who is perfect at every level, entire universe is only at his hands, not anything else. Now the comes question, integrate arc system. Now I'm going to tell you the exact definition of reflex arch. It is a spontaneous, autonomous, involuntary motor response. Again, it is a motor response for an adequate threshold sensory stimulus. Now again I make it clear. Unless sensory stimulus signal is threshold, say like minus 70 to minus 55, if it's reached, that signal will go to the brain and get recorded. Anything does not have send will not get recorded as such. So do need to be very sensitive to have the stimulus powerful enough. One thing is not powerful will not be get recorded. So it has to have a good sensory system, perfect integration, and motor response. Only then you can define yourself to be a perfect human being. Then come to the third stage, which is most important: unexplored, unknown, unexplained. What is that? And I can tell you, whatever information you get in different books is not sufficient at all. It deserves special emphasis because the functionally important afferent sensory system components have been ignored. No book talks about what is a perfect sensory component which can make your system competent, unconscious, subconscious, conscious, as well as superconscious. You want to be in tune with universal consciousness by and large. You got to have the system very clear, for which autonomic nervous system plays very important. If you want to be a yogi, then you should be a master of autonomic nervous system A to Z without any deficiency. That is what I'm trying to say. This result which I'm giving today is a result of more than 30 years of my experience with autonomic nervous system to understand my unconscious, subconscious, conscious, and superconscious involuntary system to make me what I am at this particular juncture. Now the comes question is, this is one concept, Suksham Sharira, the causal body. There are 7 parts outside, which has been beautifully explained in the form of 7 chakras: Mooladhara, Swadhisthana, Nabhi, Anhata, Vishuddhi, Ajna, and Sahasrara. There are 7 parts, but they are connected with the bones of the central nervous system. If you start from spinal cord, would have 5 parts. Spinal cord, 5 parts: coccyx, sacrum, lumbar, thorax, and cervical. But head is a 6th part, and then skull is a 7th part. And these are the things which are shields to that. So as a result, 7 chakras you can never experience because they don't exist in sensitivity part at all. They are protecting the things inside of the brain central nervous system. But information outside, information again is there outside. But that is not sensitive with the seven chakras. It is controlled by 10.344 inside, which are part of the central nervous system, both sympathetic, parasympathetic, and the brain by and large. That is something which I am making it clear. Now coming to the second part, Taittiriya Upanishad talks of the seven internal sheaths: Annamay Kosh, Pranamay Kosh, Manamay Kosh, Vijnanmay Kosh, Anandmay, Guhem, and within that is Atma. So that is something which I say Taittiriya Upanishad is much more defined internalization of the seven chakras, and external is what people have been talking about without experiencing it. But how this is done, we are going to talk about it subsequent videos as we move on. Now come to the sensory nervous system. This is the first stage of comprehension, windows of the universe, and all the data, information, knowledge is the first thing which you bring it together in purest form. That is enlightening, empowering, and education by and large. You can see the light. That's the first is the light. That's the comprehension. Now the sensory component is you have dendrites to perceive the entire universe throughout the body. And that is makes a human being very unique. Unlike other animals, human brain is the only one has the three outer layers of neocortex of the brain, which even neuroscientists of the world do not even know what functions are. I'm very sorry to say that all the scientists of the world, whether they are maths, physics, chemistry, biology, or medical sciences, are all the subjects are totally man-made concepts which are defective in nature. Only thing which is perfectly healthy, wealthy, wise, and happy can take us, make us, and make us be in tune is only Divyank and based on Divyank. And with Divyank, those things which are three outer layers are antenna to the universal consciousness to see super consciously. That's what I'm talking about. If you have that, as a result, you can produce 8 hertz alpha frequency throughout the brain with eyes open, which unfortunately I'm the only one who has demonstrated. No one else. That is a part of my PhD work itself. Started with 10.5 hertz alpha frequency with closed eyes, mind at rest from posterior. But today, 8 hertz throughout the brain with eyes open is a brilliant manifestation of Akhand Yoga, and the process is to autonomic nervous system only. You've got to make your autonomic system very clear, and if you have autonomic system, your chakras, nadis, things will be complete, and then you will be a living, walking, talking encyclopedia. Now come to the sensory nervous system. It's placed all the sensory nervous system, efferent system, as well as sympathetic, is connected with the blood vessels throughout the body. Blood goes to every part of the body, and so as the blood vessels and sympathetic system, and of course autonomic nervous system is closed with the entire thing. That is the first thing which I'm saying is spread throughout the body from top to the bottom, and that is through blood vessels alone. Next stage comes up is as the sympathetic system can constrict blood vessels during bleeding anywhere and everywhere. The first thing which the body does unconsciously, involuntarily, through the sympathetic system is to stop the bleeding whenever they bleed. The constriction of the vessel to that. So as a result, that would reflect an emergency to not let you bleed. That's the first thing. But after result could be your blood pressure, your think food doesn't matter. It will take care of it because it's not going to take very long time to stop bleeding. And you can help yourself also to become conscious of it. And that's the reason you should never take anything which can reduce your sensitivity, not even painkillers. And I'm a doctor. No painkillers, nothing. No cigarette, no smoking, nothing at all. No tranquilizers, no drugs. You got to make your sensory system very strong, and that's taken, then you'll have no problem whatsoever. Then come to the question evolution. Autonomic nervous system is split and it does not need any conscious effort. You take food, put into your mouth. From the time the ingestion to digestion to absorption, assimilation, excretion is automatically taken care of without any need for you to make an effort. And that's the reason I said digestive system is required essential because for to survive you need that. For digestive system is very important. It does not need anything to be carried. Then comes to subconscious. As I told you, conscious thing is with a skeletal system with a mobility in otherwise. But when it comes to the question of unconscious, subconscious, it is smooth muscles and cardiac muscles. But let me also tell you, we might say that voluntary is skeletal, but they play equal role in involuntary also. That's why in C, I would say all the three are important. Skeletal muscles, smooth muscles, and cardiac muscles. They help each other to complement. You cannot separate them completely. That's it. Now the comes to the unconscious part. I have told you in the beginning, three pacemakers, heart, intestine, uterus, have been additional pacemakers for motor activity. These divisions are sympathetic and parasympathetic. They are also connected, have an independent action potential of their own. They can work independently. Even the higher system go to sleep. They'll continue to their work without any disturbance because there you don't need action potential of going to threshold value. For them, sub-threshold value itself is more than enough to execute their functions. That's a beauty. And that kind of neuroscience we got to know. Now, main primordial function is to maintain homeostasis. Increase or decrease, imbalance should be brought to variable, and all the variables, 10 variables essential of homeostasis are designed with Divyank alone. I have explained that. Normal physiological functions are 10 control things that are designed with Divyank. If you know Divyank, you can maintain them perfectly throughout your life, and that's it. When come to the question of psychological functions, first and foremost, stress response is called classic fight and flight. And that is what makes sympathetic system very important. Sympathetic system come only in fight and flight. For both you need extra energy. That means sympathetic system mobilizes energy to either fight or to run. Both you need extra energy. You need more glucose, more blood pressure, more water. All the 10 factors are important in fight and flight. And that's it. It is controlled by system. And autonomic nervous system in the parasympathetic, which has conserved the energy, is used by system. So they are complementary. You cannot say sympathetic can do it without the help of a parasympathetic. They have to win for making energy, parasympathetic. For spending energy is a sympathetic. It leave it at that. Both should be perfectly healthy. Now the consciousness main integral visceral organs are the ones which do the digestion, ingestion, and conservation of essential ATP energy is done as such. Then comes to question neuroendocrine integration. Then I am making it very clear. They are not 7 chakras which everybody talks about. There are 10 plus chakras. And all the 10 plus chakras are associated with 10 endocrine glands and 10 ganglia of autonomic nervous system, and the nervous system which are experienced within that in the nervous system is the one which makes you perfect human being. Once neuroendocrine system integrated, only then you become perfect. And that starting from top to the bottom should be perfectly integrated. So Kundalini, chakras, nadis are closely associated with autonomic nervous system, endocrine system, nervous system within the homeostasis. As a result, we can be perfectly healthy, wealthy, wise, and happy. So, understanding 10 plus chakras is more important, not 7 chakras. We are going to talk about it in coming videos in smaller things as we move on. Now the question is, the most important part of the whole system is in hypothalamus. Hypothalamus is the head ganglion for autonomic nervous system as endocrine. That's a function very well from hypothalamus itself. Now there comes to question of brain. On top of the thalamus, you have limbic system as well as whole. This is responsible for mammalian brain of emotion, point, and love. Emotion, love, behavior is because of hypothalamus and limbic system. This is higher control by and large. You should have that like a perfect human being. And I am the one. I don't consider only my parents, my brothers, sisters, my wife, children, my relatives as the only core family. For me, the entire universal creation, all the human beings, all the animals, all the plants, all the things to be a part of my concern. I'm a perfect one in universal. So as a Lokpalan, I'm trying to be a custodian for the benefit of the entire humanity. All the defects which are there in the human life from beginning till today, my videos give you that to the world. This is the one, everyone. So my emotions and behavior is toward everybody, truthfully, conscientiously, and otherwise. That is the highest uniform spiritual science by and large, and I think I'm manifesting that because I'm thinking of everybody, irrespective of whatever religion, country, otherwise is. If humanity is educated, controlled, the world can have peace. That is what is real mammalian brain within me, who thinks of everyone as a part of my family. Vasudev Kutumbam. Now there comes the question of brainstem. It has got three integrated components which coordinate homeostasis. And that is the three parts. Midbrain, pons, and medulla oblongata has all the nuclear for the brain's functions to control unconscious, subconscious functions and give you anatomy and physiology. Brainstem is a beautiful objective and the organ to take care of unconscious, subconscious by and large, which is made of spinal cord plus brainstem, which is the reptilian brain, which is most important. As reptilians don't need doctors, we also are, if we are perfect in our food, thoughts, behavior, truthfully and consciously, you will not need anything from the external world. Body will tell you everything, and that is what Rig Veda and Aitreya Upanishad is trying to explain. And if you understand Rig Veda, you know anatomy, physiology, atoms, elements, molecules, compound completely. Aitreya Upanishad will how they created, what we should do, and Ayurveda will tell you what to take, what not to take. These are the knowledge which is there in Akhand Bharat and helps me to understand completely and representing that. Now the question of spinal system. As I told you, spinal system is the one which is below brainstem, but it has also got the components of the same thing. It can coordinate segmental, intersegmental reflexes. How beautifully they are designed, how effectively designed, I've explained. Here I'm just giving you a glimpse of that. Now comes to the question of peripheral autonomic nervous system. It is also made of three components. You have central nervous system, which has all the nuclei, which I have spoken about it. Then from the central nervous system, from the brain as well as spinal cord, the things which come out first are the preganglion neuron fibers. This is the first component of the autonomic nervous system, both parasympathetic and sympathetic. Second component are the autonomic ganglia. Third are the fibers of postganglion neuron fibers come from ganglia. So preganglion fibers, autonomic ganglia, and post. These are three component trinity plays. You can see that very clearly in the picture. You can see the central brain, which has been taken, but I have tried to modify with the down part, which is ganglion impar, shown it, which was missing in the book. Again, we should have a representative which is complete. Then you can see the prefibers, you can see the ganglion, you can see the postganglion. You can see once all the three are perfect, interconnected, only then you can be perfectly healthy, wealthy, wise, and human being. Otherwise, not possible. That is the reason that whole system should be perfect. Now, in this particular picture, I have shown the different parts of different. First, you have the brainstem, you have cranial parasympathetic, you have 4 of the 12 nerves which are cranial parasympathetic, oculomotor, facial, glossopharyngeal, and vagus are the 4 nerves out of the 12, one third. 4 out of 12 is this is one third, is cranial trinity. Then comes the sympathetic system, which is made of the 14 segments of the spinal cord from thoracic 1 to lumbar 2, 12 plus 2, 14. Then 28 preganglion fibers. Then you have paravertebral chain, which can be associated with Ida and Pingala, has got 22 plus 22 plus 1, 45. 45 ganglion, 28 nerves, give you Divyank again. So beautiful. Then come down is sacral parasympathetic. You have 5 segments in the sacrum, out of which 3 segments, S2, S3, S4 come, but they release 5 nerves thereafter to take 5 organs in the pelvic region. So look at how beautifully Divyank has explained this. And because I took, this was my PhD work and my experience of Kundalini chakras within me, I think I've got understood because I experienced that within me. Whatever I'm writing and speaking is out of cognition, not a copycat of thing. As a matter of all the books which I've read in the process from childhood till today, I find they are deficient. Only what I'm trying to say through my books and my registered content is a perfect one, and I want everybody to follow that if you want to be perfectly in tune with universal consciousness. That's it. Now the genesis of autonomic nervous system, I'm making it very, very clear. This is description. Now you're going to see that in the picture form. The first thing, when zygote is formed from sperm and ovum, in 8 days it gets implanted. Then it goes through the discovery to convert into 3 stages of triminal. As you can see in the middle, ectoderm, mesoderm, and endoderm. But by the time you come to the 18 days, they start doing neural tubes, and how neural tubes, which is migrated from the central to the other, becomes your ganglia. That is what I'm talking about. They are neural crest part, which are not part of the central system, migrated from the central system to the separate one and formed ganglia. And that is the autonomic ganglia. And paravertebral are 45 ganglia. Then you have prevertebral, then many more ganglia in the process, which are more actions as such to say transmission takes very clearly. And that makes our system perfect. Now, comes the question why we call it sympathetic and parasympathetic. Let me tell you, there is an older observation. Any injury, when it's produced, would start producing tachycardia. Heart rate will increase. And that was heart rate is to save your, first thing, as I told you, sympathetic system will try to close the vessels and stop the blood bleeding is the first step. And of course, the side effect is tachycardia. If some bleeding inside, you are going to experience it. But that will make sure that you recover it at the earliest. Only that the first constriction, the vasoconstriction, is going to save you because blood loss can be very defective. So as a result of this, because trying to sympathize with the body to save you is called sympathetic system. Whereas opposite is required. Without that, this alone will kill you. Sympathetic is an asset in emergency, but should not be there 24. It should be controlled by the autonomic nervous system or parasympathetic system to make sure that balance is maintained and we can. That is subconscious, unconscious, superconscious action of autonomic nervous system actually saves you from A to Z. Sympathetic plays its own role. Parasympathetic should play a role. Both should be perfectly healthy. And that is exactly what I've tried to give the world. Music, Divyank Dhwani. The first component of 6 minutes is to work on sacral parasympathetic. Then the middle part is a transition from sacral parasympathetic through the sympathetic in a very gentle way to take it to the cranial parasympathetic, slowly one by one, and make the whole system fine. Within those 22 minutes of listening to Divyank Dhwani, you could be perfectly healthy, wealthy, wise human being. In the music alone, that music is more. And incidentally, if you look at it, this music was designed by Parvati to make dancing Shiva thing. And when I say dancing Shiva, I'm not talking of divinity. We all are Parvatis, Shiva, Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, and all the things which we Sanatana Dharma talks about, all are within the human body. That's it. Now there comes to the identical sensory system. Now I'm making it a visceral afferent sensory pathway. It resembles the somatic is what voluntary is. And involuntary are both are identical in any way what you are seeing right at the picture down. Now coming to the question of sensory component is one part. The second thing which is most important in nervous system is the pain and temperature pathways. When pain and temperature pathway in this voluntary system, as you can see, the fibers go to the opposite side and then rise up. Whereas sensory go to the same side, go up to medulla and then cross over. But pain and temperature go to the opposite side to make sure you have immediate sense. And that is what segmental reflex is all about. Whereas others are intersegmental, higher and higher and higher. We are going to see that as that go. But pain and temperature can be dangerous. The immediate should be on both the side, left and right should be immediately taken care of. And that's the beauty of the nervous system. Once we understand that, is phenomenal. Then comes to the question that there are no proprioceptive receptors in the autonomic nervous system inside because there are no joints or other things coming to involve that part. But there are few temperature and touch receptors, but that's less, not like sensory component of the voluntary system outside. Then comes the question of sensory pathway through autonomy. Afferent fibers from the viscera reach the central nervous system via sympathetic and parasympathetic both. Sensory component is covered by both, and every nerve carries the information is what I'm trying to explain in this particular picture. Then comes to the autonomic reflex action is the one which is taken to make sure that we have optimum function automatically without any conscious control whatsoever. That is what makes it beautiful. Instead of action, it should be actually response. Then common sensory pathway is almost all the things together through the spinothalamic, thalamic reactions. Everything is carried. The information is from external to dorsal root ganglion to posterior part to brainstem to thalamus to spinothalamic tract, or from thalamus to further is one thing which I have explained so beautifully. Sensory is in the backside and motor is in the front, and this should be integrated. You should through exercise make that whole system is perfect, and you should not damage anything. Treat your human body as it is worth everything in the universe. Biggest thing in the priceless in the world is the human body. Everything else is perishable. Money, name, fame does not mean anything to me, because to me what is important is my physical body. It has to be perfectly healthy, wealthy, wise and happy. I should be in a position to stop all the problems, even reverse the aging. Even at 74, my functions are as good as 21. And that is only thing which is responsible is autonomic nervous system and perfection by and large. The seventh level of component, 6, 7, makes me perfect by and large. That is what I'm talking about. Then come to question. There is a middle lateral horn cells which are important. As a result, I have told you in the beginning, every neuroscientist says there are 8 lobes in the brain, but I know there are 10 lobes. They have missed the insular cortex, which is autonomic in control. Same reflection I've shown in sympathetic and sacral parasympathetic, this, that all the information comes through the lateral horn cells. Lateral horn cells are seen in sympathetic and sacral parasympathetic very clearly in spinal cord. And of course, as the autonomic nervous system is the insular cortex, which plays the same role as the lateral horns right in the middle. I think now this is the science which is bringing it to the world. This is science which everybody should know. And I think all the neuroscientists of the world, quote in quote, are only copycats what others have done. They haven't really gone to the level of knowing even the functions of the three outer layers of neocortex or the EEG and otherwise. Very deficient. I want everybody to follow this. Let the world have a new syllabus based on my videos, my books and other things, so that there is no confusion whatsoever which exists today. There is a consistency required. Now comes the question, visceral pain can be experienced within the body, but that is also expressed out through the motor component, like heart attack, which is the inside. But the pain can be felt in the left finger. That is the referred pain. And that is what I'm talking about it. You will have this experience very clearly. And that will also tell you which chakra is associated. It is not only 7 chakras, you have 108 chakras, maybe very prominent. And that's it. Now that comes to the first order dorsal neuron. All the information is carried from the external world to that. So the first order is the dorsal nervous system, the ganglia. This you can see in this particular picture very clearly. The second is they have 3 efferent nervous system, triply, trinity. Somatic nervous system directly from nervous system to skeletal muscles. Autonomic nervous system to involuntary. That's I have already explained. Is reinforced. Then this particular picture I had designed for my PhD work, which was between 1993 to 2001. And this picture really taught me, if you want to understand Kundalini, Yoga, Akhand Yoga and other things, you got to know about autonomic nervous system completely. If you know about autonomic system, as I've explained, this picture, no wonder my PhD was called highly commendable, because I've spoken about those things which are never spoken by anybody else. That was the beauty. But I have given much more information in the process from 2015 onwards. Divyank has arisen. And that made it even better. Now, based on that, I have transformed the whole thing to a new symbol, which is the improvised symbol of the present, to show the center part is what is written. But what these 2 chains are united in the bottom part was missing. I have shown here that is the ganglion impar, where both the chains put together is something which I am showing. On top is one which takes us to universal consciousness in Sahasrara Chakra. So 7 become 10 plus or even 108 chakras. So really you become one with universal consciousness. Now the consider again here I have shown in this, you have the central nervous system, then you have preganglion fibers, then you have ganglion and the postganglion fibers which produce the action in sympathetic. And as far as adrenal gland is concerned, it is 2 levels. We'll get into the detail. But parasympathetic is again, only difference is in sympathetic, preganglion is short, postganglion is long. But in sympathetic, preganglion is long and so it is short. You can see in this picture very clearly. Now there comes to the conclusion. The efferent pathway of the autonomic nervous system comprises of 2 components, preganglion, postganglion, which I have already shown. Then the conclusion is these people have to work in identical, as a result, somatic nervous system as well as smooth muscles, cardiac muscles, autonomic nervous system, they all work in unison with each other. They are not separate from each other. So basic knowledge of somatic nervous system is important. Then for psychological, autonomic nervous system put together, they are the one which are the psychosomatic nervous system. But once you know the whole thing, only then you can psychologically be perfectly healthy, anatomy perfect, physiology perfect, biochemistry, psychology. That is the conclusion which only the integrated functions of the autonomic system, endocrine system, nervous system, and all the cells come to play a role. It's all inclusive, and all inclusive should be perfect. That is what I've explained. I'm trying to explain to you. Then how this works together is something which I've already explained. Now, afferent nervous system, another thing, as I told you, smooth muscles, cardiac muscle, other things, and all the glands also included. And that's what said. All autonomic nervous system is along with the endocrine glands, all the digestive glands, they are all interconnected only. So at the end, person who's seeing will see the 100 trillion cell with all the organs simultaneously. One, but that person should not drink, should not smoke, should not take anything which can reduce your sensitivity. Your perfect sensitive system with a perfect vegetarian diet and Akhandata will give you what I have done it. It's a conscious effort to lead the life of a Brahman, to become a Brahman and give the world the wisdom of a Brahman as such. That's it. And now the afferent autonomic system, as I told you, you have on the top facial, glossophageal and vagus nerves. They play a very important role. They come through the dorsal root. That's it. Now, there is also visceral organs from eyes in the trigeminal, and I have also shown the different 12 nerves, out of which 4 are cranial parasympathetic. The first one, oculomotor, facial, glossopharyngeal, and vagus. Others are motor or sensory as such. We'll not go into that. That's it. But everything plays an important role. Then afferent is the cranial parasympathetic from 7th, 9th, and 10th supply pain sensation arising from the visceral organ above the thorax. These 7 nerves, facial, glossopharyngeal, and vagus, they carry pain sensation in above the thorax. Let's be very clear. Now, sympathetic is a thorax T1, thoracic 1, 12 thorax plus 2 lumbar, 14 segments of the thoracic spinal cord and 28 nerves put together, the one which can pain from vital instrument, heart and otherwise, and lungs, etc. Then abdomen is the lower part which is there. Then sacral parasympathetic takes care of the reproductive system, evacuation otherwise, and yet you can see the picture very, very clearly. They are in the perineum and lower part. That's it. Now comes the question of the sympathetic system is also called thoracolumbar. Thoracolumbar because T1, thoracic 1, 12 thoracic, 2 lumbar are the 14 component, call it thoracolumbar outflow. Is also well known as a sympathetic system. Now parasympathetic is called cranial parasympathetic and sacral parasympathetic. It can be craniosacral outflow, but they are two independent. Whereas sympathetic is one component which is a Divyank, 14, 28, 45, Divyank. Cranial, 4 on top, sacral right at bottom, in between is sympathetic. That's it. Now, as I told you, the beginning, third important subdivision, again, it's a digestive system which is connected with this. This is what local action potential I've seen and shown you the picture, which I had shown you earlier also. It gives you the independent that you don't need action potential, no threshold value. Sub-threshold value itself is very clearly, and that can be easily done by electrons themselves. You don't need electrical, it's a chemical energy itself. So food, digestion is a chemical, nose also a chemical, where others are electrical. These chemicals can do work very well within the digestive system. Now the concept, the post, this one more we call it, all these fibers are carried from central nervous system, peak ganglion, organ to the post ganglion. Then they go to what you call terminal organ which is going to be connected. And that is the beauty of hormones also. They are manufactured inside, carried in the blood to the target organ for action. And same thing with autonomic nervous system, because endocrine hormones and autonomic nervous system, they work hand in gloves with each other. They are the one which can make you understand Tantra Vidya completely, not the one which talks about it. Hodgepodge. Amrit, this is required. Now the dual system, there are chemical fibers are one-way pathway, one side, up or down. Ascending from down to up, descending from up to down is a chemical. But electrical fibers are two waves in the higher centers in the brain. It can go up either way simultaneously. And that is what you can see in this picture very clearly. It's a dual divine consciousness, which in the brain is a dual, up and down simultaneously. So integration takes place in the brain. But the other thing is coming down or going down. Sensory from down up one way, motor from up down in the spinal cord is one part. Now the consequence of fibers. As I told you, lateral horn cell P ganglion fiber for sympathetic size from 14 component T1 to L2. They are myelinated fibers. Now I am making it clear. Preganglion fibers are myelinated, they are covered. That's it. And they are short and covered. Then afterganglion post is much longer than this. And they come out with the white ramus by and large. Now you can see this particular picture very clearly. The 14 segments, 28 nerves and 45 is very clear in this picture. And that is Divyank, Divyank and Divyank ratio, designed and given for the first time as 1.6180 or 38.1966 or 61.8034 is very clear in this particular system by and large. Now, sympathetic nervous system may go up or down for a considerable extent, may terminate or leave the sympathetic chain and terminate into collateral or terminal sense. As I told you, in this you can see the central part, 14 segments of spinal cord, 28 nerves, paragon. Then you also have prevertebral ganglion, which play very much more important in 7 levels of consciousness. And then also you have terminal right at the bottom, which is ganglion impart. And once this is collateral, lateral is understood along with the parasympathetic, pre-ganglion and para put together, we'll have the picture much more clear, and that you have seen, I've shown that in my pictures. Now comes the question of postganglion fibers. From there arise, and they are unmyelinated part. They are gray matter. Say again, white is myelinated, which is the first part. Post is gray, unmyelinated, open, very sensitive. And because it has to be sensitive, at every organ is going, it has to terminate into the organ is going to supply. That's it. Now, there are two orders. First order neuron present in the central nervous system. Then you have the outside, you have the preganglion, ganglion, other thing as in further outside. Then come the preganglion from the first order neuron system arise and then go. Then now let's come to the central autonomic nervous system. This is something which has not been given importance. Neuroscientists by and large talk about a hypothalamus as a head for autonomic ganglion and endocrine gland and things like that. More than that, they haven't been very spelled out. In this particular picture, I'm making it very clear. 3 outer layers of neocortex. Neuroscientists of the world do not even know what it is all about. I have explained because I experienced that. That is what given me the outlook to universal consciousness. All what has happened is recorded there. And with the astral travel, I am able to get the information with the higher forces and give the world, which has never been done in the history of mankind till date. Shows these 3 outer layers function is to be in tune with universal consciousness. That's the reason these are outside. Whereas within vertebral column and spinal cord and brain stem, gray nucleus is inside. But this is outside. It's something which I have explained. Now comes the hypothalamus, the nucleus center, which is very important. In this center, you can see the posterior part is very close to sympathetic system and anterior part is very close to parasympathetic. And posterior is close to sympathetic because it has to be quick, fast and otherwise, along with the ascending information backside through the sensory component, and sympathetic is very close to that. where a parasympathetic takes a longer time source is placed outside is something which I want the world to understand. Now come to the question. In this particular picture is very clear. Anterior part is parasympathetic, posterior part is sympathetic. You can read leisurely, as such you will know why it was designed. I've explained to you. Now the comes to the cranial parasympathetic. I told you 4 out of 12 cranial nerves are parasympathetic in nature. As in this picture you can see in the midbrain, oculomotor third cranial nerve arises, which applies eyes. Its constriction can give you constriction in parasympathetic and dilatation in sympathetic. Then pons you have facial nerve. It's a cranial parasympathetic will increase the secretions and mucous worm digestion, everything is begun. And also pons, facial. When come to medulla oblongata, you have glossopharyngeal and vagus. Both are very important. Glossopharyngeal is the ninth one, which helps in parotid gland secretion, and mucous membrane throat, pharynx and larynx. Whereas facial has got the nose, so sinus part is a positive effect of higher chakras, and throat another thing is glossopharyngeal and vagus. But the combination of vagus and glossopharyngeal and of course facial for the tongue, front, back, and this is an amazing thing which made me realize that how the system is and what kind of food should be taken, how to balance. My body will tell you whether I need sodium, whether I need potassium, whether I need chloride, whether I need this or that. My body itself is able to give, because my sensitive is very clear. My body knows where exactly what is required, and this what is today's action also lets me know, and that has given me Akhand Yoga's 10 stages, much better than what Patanjali talks about Ashtanga Yoga. I've taken to Dasang. I think I have understood because I experienced that within my body of all the 64 ICs, and this is the knowledge. Now there comes to question of oculomotor nerve. As I told you, you have pupillary reflex and accommodation reflex. Parasympathetic will make sure that you have good accommodation in this, and you can see within that is beautifully designed is this picture, which I had designed it with my own experience of initiation itself. Now, as far as dilatation is concerned, it is pupil dilate, whereas in parasympathetic it constricts, and that is something which I have explained in this particular concept. Same thing as a facial and glossopharyngeal. Tongue, anterior 61.80 tongue is by the facial nerve, and the posterior 38.1966% is the back portion by glossopharyngeal nerve, which takes for the bitter taste. The front is by good taste. That is again with Divyank so beautifully. Mind trick system further I have already explained. Let's put it there. Then sympathetic stimulation reduces the secretion, whereas parasympathetic increases. So the prime function of parasympathetic system is to rest, digest, conserve energy for future use. As simple. Sympathetic is mobilized in case of emergency, is so beautifully designed, and that's it. Then same thing with the respect to the heart, all 10 chakras. This conducting system of the heart has got 10 centers. They independently function. They are very directly connected with sympathetic and parasympathetic. If sympathetic is on, heart rate is going to increase. When parasympathetic vagus is on, it will reduce. And heart is a perfect example on the functions of autonomic nervous system. Tachycardia, heart rate, and functioning depend. And that is what would make you also survive in case of heart attack otherwise. Now the comes to question, as I told you, preganglion fibers from throating, very clear. Then they traverse up or down and then considerable period, and they end in ganglion is something which I have already explained. Then comes the postganglion fibers. From that, as I told you, they are unmyelinated. One is myelinated, and then they go along with the blood vessel. Now I'm making it very clear. Postganglion fibers go along the blood vessels throughout the body, and they are unmyelinated. They can act anywhere and everywhere through the blood vessels itself. That is what I'm trying to explain. They are the gray communicants. There are preganglion is white, myelinated. This is unmyelinated. Then you have three kinds of ganglion, as I told you: paravertebral from sympathetic nervous system, prevertebral ganglion, collateral, then terminal, as and told. You can see that in ganglion part. At the same time, you can see that also in uterus, genital, and adrenal medulla as a terminal ganglion. Once this is understood, I think your picture will be very, very clear. When come to the next stage, as I told you, 22 pairs of each side plus 145 by 20 what is what Divyank is all about. And that is what I said. Now 22 are the cervical region has 3, thoracic has got 10, lumbar 4, sacral 4, and coccygeal 1. The 22 are the one which are there, you can see on either side of the spinal cord as such. And this is a chain which I associate with Ida and Pingala and Muladhara Chakra and Brahmanadi very clearly in my pictures. Now all this information is given in Divyank. The 22 by 21 are the central part, 10 stage of development, and this is the ratio. And that is what I tried to explain, that 45 by 21 is 1.6071 or it is 1.6180. And that's it. Now ganglia sympathetic, as I told you, are the 45. They go, and how they go has been explained. And 3 cervical ganglion. You have cervical, you have preganglion from T, then cervical, gray matter, and middle class is from T2 to T. These are details, you can read it leisurely as such. Then inferior cervical, there are 3: superior, middle, inferior, and cervical region. As I told you, thoracic is 10, 4 lumbar, sacrum, and then 1, which I have explained. One by one, you can explain leisurely when you take it, go to reading detail after listening for the first time. Then come to the question of the celiac, superior, mesenteric are the middle collateral ones. Then come to the question of middle medulla, terminate into that. Now again, that 7 chakras which I'm collected to converting into 10 chakras and show. Left side I have written the names of chakras: Mooladhara, Swadhisthana, Nabhi, Usha, Anhata, Vishuddhi, Ajna, Vigyan, Pragyan, and Sahasrara, and associated organs: coccyx, sacrum, lumbar, lower thoracic, upper thoracic, cervical, brainstem, hypothalamus, thalamus, and neocortex. These are the brain 10 centers of central nervous system which are closely associated with 10 chakras, not 7. 7 chakras are connected with the bones of the spinal cord and the head and face, and they have no sensitivity whatsoever. They are bones, no sensitivity to the experience, the divinity within. Divinity has to be experienced with these 10 chakras, and that's it. Then parasympathetic system is again to mobilize energy for first time, and they have centers like lateral horn cells in the center too. Then, as I told you, you have cranial nerves. Edinger-Westphal nucleus is the one which is responsible for accommodation reflex as well as pupillary reflex. And seventh nasal is the one which is connected with nose, what is called saliva, mucous membrane by and large. And that's what plays an important role. Even tongue plays an important role. Now, further, the ninth nerve, glossopharyngeal, gives the posterior tongue and the neck part. Then 10th goes right up to thorax and abdomen. All the vital organs are primarily by the 10th nerve, which is vagus nerve. It plays very important role, and they spread throughout, and it goes completely. That's why it's called vagus. There are few exceptions to the whole rule by and large. The first, Most organs are supplied, but Dior supplies sympathetic and parasympathetic. But the following spleen, sweat glands, piloerector muscles, and most blood vessels have only sympathetic supply, no parasympathetic. They cannot manufacture. They can only take care of in emergency. Spleen can help you in bleeding. Sweat glands can also help you throughout things. And so are the things experience. That's it. In general, sympathetic, they should go in opposite direction. They should be maintained by and large. Only then we can be perfectly healthy, wealthy, wise, and happy. Similarly, now you're doing a comparison between sympathetic and parasympathetic as a thoracolumbar and sacral, and all that I have explained has been put into this for as a refresh as you go on. This is the second part, neurotransmitters. Again, you have neurotransmitters of acetylcholine only. Neurotransmitter also in acetylcholine, but neurotransmitter in parasympathetic by and large is acetylcholine only, whereas in sympathetic it is cholinergic, noradrenaline as such. You can see the difference. So this mobilizes energy, that conserves energy, I have already explained. Then how one is catabolic in action and is anabolic in action, how mass reaction and local reaction, why this is, that all have given, you can read leisurely as a subsequent as such. Now main prime function you can see it is vital organs, this respiration, lacrimation, sneezing, coughing, vomiting, swallowing, purgation, and this. These are all Kundalini syndrome which I call it. When Kundalini is defective, your autonomic nervous system is not functioning. Systemic and sympathetic is not. You are going to have these kind of problems. These are raised to eliminate you from the problem. And that's what psychosomatic. They are psychosomatic Kundalini syndromes. Now, the neurotransmitters, as I told you, acetylcholine and pre, both the things. But in sympathetic is noradrenaline, whereas parasympathetic is acetylcholine on both the sides. Now, these are the functions which are sympathetic in nature of expenditure. This is what conservation. This is both put together how they balance by and large. And this is the picture of rest and digest for parasympathetic, fight and flight for parasympathetic. This is maintained. Once this maintained, left and right is automatically taken, is not goes to the homeostasis will be maintained. You'll be perfectly healthy, wealthy, wise, and a human being. And that's the most beautiful part of autonomic nervous system. And now come to the same thing. What I have spoken from the very beginning till today is everything in this itself. I think that's enough for the time. Thank you very